Now, sometimes news happens so fast that we miss the obvious. Like significant facts blow right by us. Such is what happened with the reports of the past weeks on the outgoing Obama administration's actions toward the incoming Trump National Security Advisor, Mike Flynn. Now, we now know that 39 Obama aides submitted dozens of unmasking requests for calls that involve Flynn. The first was made by Samantha Power on November 30th, 2016, with the bulk being made between December 14th and 16th of that year. Yet what everyone missed was that there was no unmasking request made for the call that set the criminal case against Flynn in motion. His December 28th, 2016 call with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. The Ingraham angle learned late last night from a high-ranking source with direct knowledge of that situation that it was the FBI, not the Office of National Intelligence, that was monitoring the call. The Washington Post confirmed this today. It was the FBI, not the NSA, that wiretapped Kislyak's calls and created the summary and transcript. When the FBI circulated the report, they included Flynn's name from the beginning because it was essential to understanding its significance. There were therefore no requests, we can conclude, for that unmasking of that information. Okay. Thus, it was Jim Comey's FBI that had the call transcript. Now, did certain figures within the FBI, in consultation with figures higher up in the administration, consider the transcript potentially, a second insurance policy against the new administration? Or maybe they thought it could be weaponized if Flynn was asked about it later, a few days later, and lied? Well, we're bound to find out more. Now, consternation was building in the Obama ranks in December 2016 and into the next month. Remember, we know this. They never thought Trump was going to win the White House, and they were about to turn the keys over to Trump, a man who, to their horror, vowed to undo almost everything Obama had done on foreign and domestic policy. Now, I've seen many in the never-Trump world scoff at any suggestion that there was anything improper in these flurry of unmasking requests that were filed in those final weeks of the Obama era. Yet, I think it's wrong to focus on the unmasking itself, which is legal. For years, the deep state lackeys like Clapper and Brennan claimed Flynn's call was scooped up incidentally, as if it happened almost just by accident.
What exactly is going on with this engagement with our primary adversary, the Russians? That's, I think, why the warning lights on everyone's dashboard was on. It wasn't a specific concern about Mike Flynn.
It's not as though Obama officials were going out and saying, give me everything about Michael Flynn. Absolutely not.
Now, interesting excuse, boys, but we know that you're full of it. Even before we heard it from that high-level source last night, recently declassified documents showed Obama aides made 0 unmasking requests. They made the day of Flynn's call with Kislyak. So they didn't move to unmask that call. Huh. Now, on the contrary, Flynn, we see it wasn't just swept up, wasn't incidental. Flynn was targeted. And specifically, he was targeted by Jim Comey's FBI. Again, Flynn had every right to talk to the Russian ambassador. He had every right to discuss any aspect of policy, and any suggestion that the Logan Act was somehow a legitimate concern of the Obama people is just preposterous. Flynn wasn't freelancing for some private entity against American interests. He was representing the new administration, for goodness sakes. Now, recently released documents show that on January 4th, 2017, the DOJ moved to close its investigation of Flynn after it found no derogatory information with respect to his Russian contacts. Yet Mr. Insurance Policy himself, FBI agent Peter Strzok, intervened to request that this investigation remain active, and he interjected that it was the 7th floor that was involved. Now, the 7th floor, that's a euphemism for senior leadership, a.k.a. Jim Comey. The newly declassified memo, written by Susan Rice to herself, Who does that? On Inauguration Day, 2017. Now that purports to document a January 5th, 2017 White House briefing that took place for President Obama with Director Comey, the Deputy AG Sally Yates, Vice President Biden, and Susan Rice. Now the memo itself is a classic Washington mop-up operation, hence Susan Swiffer Rice nickname. President Obama wanted every aspect of the investigation handled by intelligence agencies and law enforcement handled by the book. He stressed he wasn't asking for anything to be initiated from a law enforcement perspective, and then reiterated again that everything be done by the book. Then, again, in this memo, Comey was asked by the president if the NSC should withhold from Flynn sensitive information related to Russia. The FBI director replied, potentially, even though he had no indication thus far that Flynn had passed classified info to Kislyak. Although he did note that the level of communication was unusual. There's only one way he would know that, right? Spying. Now, in her memo, Rice wrote that Director Comey affirmed that he was proceeding by the book as it relates to law enforcement. Now, the phrase by the book was used 3 times in that memo. One memo used 3 times. Seems like Susan Rice was swiffering up yet another Obama mess. Now, the phrase, he that doth protest too much, comes to mind. Now, sure, they were all proceeding by the book. If proceeding by the book means potentially withholding sensitive information related to national security to the incoming national security advisor without any justification whatsoever. Now, the bottom line, Comey and Strzok didn't like and they didn't trust Flynn, who Obama had fired years earlier. And they felt the same about the man who was about to be sworn in as president. They reviled Trump. This entire episode should be both terrifying and enraging for all Americans who think the FBI should operate to keep us safe without political bias. Oh, and one more little thing here. Look closely at the declassified memo. The timestamp is 12:15:32. 15 minutes and 32 seconds after Susan Rice is no longer National Security Advisor, and 15 minutes and 32 seconds into the Trump presidency. This is all weird, right? It's all reminiscent of another rescue mission that she took it upon herself to complete after Benghazi. In 2012, Susan Rice was directed to go on national television and blame a video for the attack on our compound that resulted in the death of our ambassador and 3 others. She did her duty, repeating an implausible and what turned out to be false narrative.
There was a violent protest outside of our embassy sparked by this hateful video. A spontaneous reaction to what had just transpired hours before in Cairo, which were prompted, of course, by the video. A spontaneous reaction to what had just transpired in Cairo as a consequence of the video.
It was a terror attack that took place a couple of months before the presidential election in 2012. Not even a couple of months. But let's get back to the Flynn affair. Now, what happened between January 5th and Inauguration Day that spooked Susan Rice into typing that memo into government computers? A memo about a meeting that had taken place more than 2 weeks earlier. Now, today she claimed through a spokesperson, of course, that the White House counsel, Neil Eggleston, had instructed her to do this. Why? Is there another document that we haven't seen yet directing Strzok to keep the Flynn operation going? Well, time will tell. Or maybe John Durham will. And that's the angle.